The Love 2D Game Jam. What's not to love about it? And it's hard to believe that this is going to be my 5th year partaking. Crazy how I've never missed a single one. But enough joking around, let's get a bit serious. Last year I got 2nd place, which is fantastic, but each year I always score better, which means that there's really only one placement for me. So my goal this year is to get 1st place, no worse, not even 2nd place will do. Anyways, the theme this year was counter. I mean, that's not the worst theme we've gotten, so I got to thinking and had a few small ideas. A platformer where you're constantly on a timer and have to complete objectives to gain wait, isn't that just Mario? Oh, how about a fighting game where you have to counter attacks? That's probably too basic. I'm sure many people have the idea. What about this? You are a counter, as in a board game piece, like a checker piece, and you have to stack on top of other counters to get bigger and heavier. Could be useful for a puzzle game, for example, and I could have all the levels be based on board games like chess, or Connect 4, or any others. Genius. This will definitely get me 1st place. So on the 13th of March, I got to work on this amazing idea. It all starts somewhere, and in this case it started with a floor, and also a flat player that could walk around, jump, and be made of multiple counters, including special ones that have special moves, like this rook, can dash in a straight line upwards or to the sides. Then it was off to make it look better. I settled on this cream and brown colour scheme, and red for the player so it's distinct. Looks pretty good honestly, especially after adding some more background tiles and a background shown later. But enough with the graphics, I needed to implement the 2 most important features, splitting and merging. I implemented counter pickups that can be placed around the maps and the special variants too. I ended off the day by implementing another special piece, the knight, which can teleport upwards and across, just like in chess. Not too bad for a first day's work. These tiles suck. What I meant to say is that these tiles can be improved. So that's exactly what I did to start the day. The next thing I needed was buttons and doors. They are the main elements after all. Now, don't ask me why this supposed board game has switches and doors. I plan to have the buttons be like those clocks that you use in chess, but no idea for doors. So I made this very simple door that goes up and down and a switch that triggers when enough counters are on it. Okay, the silence is deafening. Let's get some sounds in here. Oh yeah, that hits the spot. Real ASMR treatment here. But the door to switch still looks bad. I mean, it looks unfinished. One new font and some spriting later and there you have it. Really feels finished now, but this is no fit for a first level. So I started working on an official level 1. So I added a new text entity to trigger and hide it, and some very basic puzzles to help explain the concept. And with a few tiles, it's really coming together a bit too well. The lack of music is really starting to get on my nerves, so I started working on that. I'm by no means a good composer, but I threw something together that, it qualifies as music, and added it to the game, and a menu so I could navigate between the test map and the first level without any commands. And with that, I was able to finish level 1. And unlike some of my other games where I just, quite frankly, abused the first tile set, I actually decided that each of the levels for this game was going to have a completely unique tile set. And I already decided on a truly distinct theme for level 2, Connect 4, featuring green instead of red because, the main character is red. While I was working on the tile set, I got to work on the level and decided it would be a good place to introduce the... I'm a bit stumped here. The mechanic wasn't really fitting how I'd hoped. Let's have a think. Okay, let's give the level a break and work on the menu. The one I had was never really going to be final. I was quite frankly starting with the main page and then adding settings and the level select. I made these many times before, so it was no big deal. One thing I added to make testing so much easier was a little hidden code prompt that allowed me to debug things in the game just by typing a code. I won't spoil any, you'll need to read the code for that. Anyways, back to level 2, I decided to scrap the whole special counters mechanic in favour of just regular puzzles, which started with this marble that was originally cut. So you can't merge with it, but you can push it and it doesn't work. What a cracking on! I decided to make a proper button prompt system, as I decided to support both keyboard and controller. I also added some more sounds because they were sorely needed. And wow, this was really coming together. I mean, besides level 2, which is very unfinished and has a terrible mechanic and just sucks. Why can't I just admit that I'm so bad at this? Why doesn't anything work? Level 2 needs some work, so I looked through some old ideas William Frog gave me for an unrelated project, and I decided to implement teleporters, a 100% unique idea that I've never done before because I'm so done, and it wasn't even that bad. The idea is only one checkpoint can be active, and you can only enter inactive ones. You get teleported to the active one, and the one you entered becomes the new active one. They're quite simple. Slap on some better graphics and I'm calling that complete. Okay, this splitting mechanic is terribly good, but it could always be better. So I decided to allow you to split fully, or just by one counter by holding up or down. I decided to also add some classic dust that always makes it look cooler and much more like a cohesive game, because it absolutely is. Anyway, I was finally happy enough to start using the level 2 tile save. And hey, this is actually looking pretty nice. Especially once I started working on, actual puzzles. After implementing a little blocker to stop counters from going through, as that would, defeat the whole point of the teleporters, clearly the mark of a poorly designed feature, and I'm just trying to make it work. Why doesn't anything I make work? I try, and I keep failing. Is this who I'm destined to be? A complete and utter failure. So I kept working on level 2 and adding new puzzles. Some puzzles that didn't even end up in the final game because they were so bad. Anyway, I did realise the character was missing a vital detail. Sex appeal. No, it's not sex appeal. Cuteness. Mainly because they lack a face, but what if they didn't? Oh, they're so cute. They even close their eyes when they jump. But besides that, my main focus was always on level 2, adding new puzzles, and I'm really starting to think I just can't make puzzles because holy hell, this was difficult. But I kept working on it until I was done, and wow, it's fucking mediocre as hell. Why is this not working out? It's a teleporter. It's the most basic mechanic, and I couldn't think of one actually decent puzzle. It's like actually a failure. Second place last year, and I can't even manage to make something half as fun and interesting. I could always drop out like I did with B-side. Would anyone even bat an eye? Probably not. Okay, I want to revisit the marble idea for level 3. I think I can make it work. It just has to be different. What if instead it always rolls and you had to redirect it with counters or yourself? That's an idea, I guess. Who knows? I don't care. I started working on the credits first, however. Something I'd been meaning to do for a while but was lazy. As for level 3, firstly, I decided to work on a new tile set. This one will be dice themed. A little bit basic, but I think. And then the marbles. I completely redid them, new graphics, new behaviour, and added a spawner as well to avoid soft locks. And that is where I stopped for the day. But little did I know, I had an ace up my sleeve. Not willingly, but I had one. For my good Mare Zero pal, William Frog, had stumbled across my jam GitHub. Actually, I lied, I sent it to him. And I had to watch him play it. And it's probably the best thing that happened so far this jam. Did it hurt to see William suggest several rather drastic changes that would nullify a lot of my work? Of course, but I needed him to say that. He even suggested ideas for a level 3 mechanic, which was pretty good. And soon I was already motivated again and ready for the rework. Okay, no waiting around. I implemented a lot of the ideas suggested and reworked several levels to fit this. And level 2 instantly became significantly more enjoyable and less buggy. And then as for the level 3 mechanic, it was scales. They moved opposite to each other and only activated doors if they had equal weight. So I started working on it and man, moving platforms suck. You see, a bit of context, I'm using bump.lua. It's not a library I created. I was more comfortable back when I was using my own physics because I had control over everything. But with bump, it just confused me. I kept poking at it. I'm sure I could get someone to behave in the next few days. So now, occasionally I fall through them, and they don't work, and I'm having clipping problems, and you see that? It just... That's just how this whole project feels. Oh my god, I'm done. I'm fucking done. Right, it's the last day, and I'm missing a whole level. I'm honestly better off just dropping out right now. Good god. I have marbles working, so I decided to uncut them for the second time. They worked well enough anyway, and I kind of blacked out for a bit and worked my butt off all day to get the puzzles done. I don't remember much, but once that was done, I worked on the credits a bit more. I added William to them. I worked out some of the remaining issues. I was building web builds and making sure all of the assets were ready for the itch.io page. I had a very long lie-in that night, and despite needing to fix an issue in the morning, like 20 minutes before the jam ended, I was just able to relax and start, well, rating other entries. I played a lot of good games this year, but these were my top picks. Invictus was incredibly well polished and fun for a game made in such a short space of time. Incredibly well done. Counter Clicker was incredibly addictive, and so was Counting Sheep. But by far, my favourite was actually Ticket Trading. This simple game was so fun and has so much strategy to it that I played it for ages. I'll leave a link to these games as well as the whole jam page below. And now, I failed. I only got third. Such a disgrace. I ruined such a perfect track record. I went from 21st to 2nd, and for what? Just to ruin it the next year? I bet most of them were just pity votes from people who felt bad. What is this? A comment? Oh, I bet it's negative. Let's have a look. Good puzzles. No, they weren't. So impressively polished and a fun, clever idea. Nice one. This is a really nice entry. I love the visuals. Cool mechanic. Worked really well. Nice simple additions for the character, sweet sound effects and great music. Overall very good. This is super polished. A really fun idea. Executed superbly. Great job. I love the addition paid with the little facial expressions. The way the character moves, etc. Very nice. Really, really smart. Nice level design and the character art was very charming. Thank you. And to everyone else who partook. There wasn't just praise, there was a lot of constructive feedback, and I will take everything on board, good and bad. But this video was real, as in all of the feelings and emotions really happened. And I was at a bit of a low point right as the jam ended. And all of this positively restored a lot of my faith. No, I didn't make a flawless game. No, I didn't impress myself by much. No, I didn't actually get first place. But I got third, and quite frankly, that's still pretty good. And hey, there's always next year. Or this year, assuming I do the B-side. Thank you guys for watching, and I'm going to go have a rest. Bye-bye.